The Deep Space Monitoring Station Sierra 9 hung silently in Earth's orbit, its arrays of sensors constantly scanning the void for signs of extraterrestrial signals. Dr. Maya Patel sat at her workstation, sipping lukewarm coffee as she reviewed the day's data streams. After 15 years of searching for alien life, the station had yielded nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional pulsar signal. Until now. The alert came at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. At first, Maya thought it was another false positive, but as she analyzed the signal pattern, her hands began to shake. This was different. The transmission carried a clear mathematical sequence. Prime numbers, followed by what appeared to be a complex encryption key. "Dr. Harrison," she called out, her voice wavering. "You need to see this." The station's lead scientist hurried over, his eyes widening as he studied the data. "My God," he whispered, "it's really happening." Within hours, the best cryptographers on Earth were working to decode the message. It took them 3 days to crack it, but when they did, humanity's understanding of its place in the universe changed forever. The message came from the Astrine Alliance, a coalition of spacefaring species spanning nearly a third of the Milky Way. But this wasn't a friendly greeting. It was a warning. The Nexarians, a highly advanced predatory species, were methodically consuming worlds for their resources, leaving nothing but barren husks in their wake. Earth's major powers convened an emergency session of the United Nations. The General Assembly chamber buzzed with tension as Admiral Sarah Chen, newly appointed head of Earth's Combined Space Defense Initiative, took the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Astrine transmission included technical specifications for faster-than-light communication and basic shield technology. They're offering us a chance to fight back, but we have to act fast. The Nexarians have already entered our arm of the galaxy." In the following weeks, humanity demonstrated its remarkable ability to unite in the face of extinction. Ancient rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and expertise. Research facilities around the globe worked around the clock to understand and implement the alien technology. Dr. James Okoro, leading the SHIELD integration team at the LIGO Space Center, made the first breakthrough. His team successfully merged the alien SHIELD specifications with Earth's existing satellite network, creating a prototype planetary defense system. "The Astrines gave us the basics," he explained to his colleagues, "but it's how we're adapting it that makes our approach unique." Meanwhile, in orbit, construction began on Earth's first true warships. The designs incorporated both human ingenuity and Astrine technology, resulting in vessels unlike anything else in the galaxy. Captain Diana Torres stood on the bridge of the EDF Resilient, the first ship of its class, marveling at how far humanity had come in just a few months. The ship's AI, a quantum computer enhanced by Astrine principles, but distinctly human in its programming, spoke through the bridge speakers. "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting unusual gravitational distortions in the Kuiper Belt." Torres straightened her uniform. "Classification: unknown, but the energy signature matches the Astrine database entries for Nexarian scout vessels." Before Torres could respond, a new transmission cut through their communications channels. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that seemed to be made of crystalline structures and dark energy. Its voice resonated with an otherworldly harmony that made the crew's teeth ache. "We are Nexarian. Your world has been selected for harvest. Your resistance is noted but irrelevant. Your resources will serve a greater purpose in our ascension." Admiral Chen's response, broadcast from Earth Command, was immediate and resolute. "This is humanity's home. We've spent thousands of years fighting each other, perfecting the art of warfare. If you want our world, you'll find that we've had plenty of practice at defending it." The Nexarian's crystalline structure shifted, perhaps indicating amusement. "You are young, primitive. You have barely touched the stars." "Youth has its advantages," Chen replied. "We're not set in our ways. We adapt. We innovate, and we never give up. The transmission cut off abruptly as the scout vessels began their approach. Captain Torres looked at her crew, seeing determination rather than fear in their eyes. "Battle stations," she ordered. "Let's show them what humanity can do." The EDF Resilient engaged the Nexarian scouts in the first battle between humanity and an alien force. The ship's hybrid technology and unconventional tactics caught the Nexarians off guard. Torres ordered rapid shifts between conventional drives and FTL jumps, a maneuver that should have torn the ship apart, but instead allowed them to outflank the enemy. Dr. Okoro, monitoring the battle from Earth, noticed something crucial in the sensor data. The Nexarians' advanced technology had a peculiar weakness. It couldn't adapt quickly to unpredictable, primitive warfare tactics. Their sophisticated systems were actually too advanced, too removed from the basic principles of combat that humanity had perfected over millennia. As the Resilient landed the killing blow on the last scout ship, Admiral Chen was already mobilizing Earth's forces. The real war hadn't even begun, but humanity had proven something vital. They weren't just future victims of the Nexarian harvest. They were warriors, innovators, and survivors. And they were ready to fight. The Astrian delegation arrived 3 weeks after the scout ship encounter. Their massive carrier emerged from hyperspace with a grace that belied its size, its crystalline architecture catching Earth's sunlight in breathtaking patterns. Admiral Chen stood in the orbital reception station alongside world leaders, watching as the alien ship deployed its shuttle. The first meeting between humans and their potential allies was a moment that would be forever etched in history. High Commander Lyra of the Astrians, a tall, ethereal being with iridescent skin and flowing robes, led her delegation into the chamber. Behind her came representatives from 4 other species: the silicon-based Tyrkuli, the geometric Quan, the aquatic Marins, and the energy form G. "We watched your battle against the Nexarian scouts," Lyra began, her words translated by advanced software. "In all our centuries of fighting, we've never seen anyone engage them quite like that." "Necessity breeds innovation," Admiral Chen replied. "We're not about to let them harvest our world without a fight." The Tyrkuli representative, a crystalline being named Vorthak, shifted forward. "Your species is young, barely space-capable. Yet you adapted our shield technology and created something new in mere months. How?" Dr. Okoro, present as Earth's chief technical advisor, stepped forward. "We have a saying on Earth: necessity is the mother of invention. When survival is at stake, humans have a knack for pushing boundaries." The negotiations that followed were intense. Earth needed advanced technology and strategic support, while the Astrian Alliance sought humanity's unconventional tactical thinking and remarkable adaptability. The Moran representative, Deep Kalernaya, was particularly interested in Earth's naval warfare history. "Your species developed 3-dimensional combat strategies before you even left your atmosphere," she noted, her translucent fins rippling with interest. "Your submarine warfare tactics could revolutionize our approach to space combat." Within days, the Orbital Defense Treaty was signed. Earth officially joined the Astrian Alliance, but with a unique position. While other species contributed specific technologies or resources, humanity's role would be innovation and tactical planning. The transformation was immediate. Earth's shipyards, already busy with warship construction, began incorporating technologies from all 5 alien species. But rather than simply copying designs, human engineers created hybrid systems that none of the aliens had considered. Captain Torres found herself leading a joint training exercise, teaching Alliance pilots how to implement Earth naval tactics in space combat. "Space isn't empty," she explained to her alien students. "It's full of gravitational fields, radiation zones, and debris. Like submarine commanders, we can use these natural features for cover, propulsion, and tactical advantage." The Quan, beings of pure geometric precision, were particularly impressed by humanity's ability to think abstractly. "Your species sees patterns where we see chaos, observed grand theorist HFY. Perhaps this is why you adapt so quickly. Dr. Maya Patel, now heading the Joint Species Communication Initiative, made another crucial breakthrough. By studying the quantum-level communications of the G, she developed a way to detect Nexarian ships before they emerge from hyperspace. They leave ripples in spacetime, she explained to the Alliance Council, like a stone dropped in a pond, but at the quantum level. The Nexarians noticed the growing alliance. Their next attack came not as a direct assault, but as an attempt to sow discord. They released a virus designed to corrupt the Alliance's quantum communications network, but they hadn't counted on human computer science. Dr. Okoro's team, working with G-Energy architects, had already created redundant systems based on Earth's primitive digital networks. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, he noted as the backup systems kicked in, keeping the Alliance coordinated while the quantum networks were cleansed. The Alliance's first major victory came at the Battle of Proxima Centauri. A Nexarian harvest fleet, expecting easy prey at humanity's nearest stellar neighbor, instead found themselves facing a coordinated defense unlike anything they'd encountered before. Human-designed ships, powered by Estrene technology and armored with Tyre-Kelly crystals, emerged from the gravity wells where they'd been hiding. They struck using modified submarine warfare tactics, their Maran-inspired propulsion systems allowing them to swim through space in ways the Nexarians couldn't predict. Quantum mathematical models, combined with human intuition, had calculated the perfect moment to strike. The G provided real-time energy readings of Nexarian shield frequencies, which human AI systems used to modulate weapon frequencies on the fly. The battle was over in hours. The Nexarian fleet, for the first time in known history, was forced to retreat. The Alliance celebrated, but Admiral Chen remained focused on the larger picture. This was just one battle, she reminded the Alliance Council. The Nexarians will adapt. We need to be ready. High Commander Lyra nodded in agreement, which is precisely why we need humanity. Your species doesn't think like the rest of us. You see possibilities where we see limitations. Together, we might actually have a chance of winning this war. As the council chamber erupted in discussion of new strategies and technologies, Dr. Patel noticed something in her quantum communications data. The Nexarians hadn't just retreated. They'd sent a message to their high command. She worked quickly to decode it, and when she did, her blood ran cold. The message was simple. The humans must not be allowed to reach their full potential. Initiate Protocol Omega. The real war was about to begin. Protocol Omega turned out to be more devastating than anyone could have imagined. The Nexarians launched simultaneous attacks on 17 Alliance worlds, using a new weapon that turned planets' atmospheres into swirling vortexes of plasma. Billions died in the first wave. Admiral Chen stood in Earth's Strategic Command Center, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The holographic display showed world after world going dark. Beside her, High Commander Lyra's usual ethereal calm had given way to visible distress. They've never attacked with such ferocity, Lyra whispered. This level of aggression is unprecedented. Because they're afraid, Dr. Patil interjected, looking up from her quantum data streams. They're afraid of us, of humanity. We've shown them something they've never seen before, unpredictability. Captain Torres, recently promoted to fleet commander, stepped forward. Then let's give them something else to fear. Dr. Okoro, tell them about Project Deadlock. Dr. Okoro activated a secure holographic display, revealing schematics that made even the Quan representatives tilt their geometric forms in surprise. We've been studying the plasma storms they're creating, he explained. They're using our atmospheres as weapons, but what if we could turn that energy back against them? The project was audacious. By combining Tyre-Kelly crystal technology with human-designed electromagnetic fields and G-energy manipulation, they could create a network of satellites capable of channeling atmospheric plasma into concentrated beams. The entire defense grid would be coordinated by a hybrid AI system that merged human neural mapping with quantum mathematical precision. It's never been attempted at this scale, Vorthak warned, his crystalline form pulsing with concern. The energy requirements alone are substantial, Dr. Okoro finished. But we found a way. The Marin's underwater geothermal technology, modified for space operations, can provide the power we need. The Alliance Council debated for 6 hours while more worlds burned. Finally, High Commander Lyra made the decision. We implement Project Deadlock. Humanity has earned our trust. If they believe this can work, we commit fully. The operation would focus on defending Earth and its solar system, not out of favoritism, but strategy. Earth's unique position near several natural space phenomena made it ideal for the project's power requirements. If they could protect Earth, they could protect other worlds. The construction effort was unprecedented. Ships from all Alliance species worked alongside human vessels, assembling the massive network of satellites and power stations. The Nexarians noticed the activity and began moving a massive harvest fleet toward Earth. Let them come, Torres told her crews as they worked. Everything we've learned about them tells us they can't resist a target like this. They'll throw everything they have at us, and that's exactly what we want. The work continued around the clock. Dr. Patel's quantum detection system gave them regular updates on the approaching Nexarian fleet. They're moving faster than we anticipated, she reported. 3 days until they arrive. On the final day of construction, as the last power conduits were being connected, the Nexarians launched their first probe attack. The small vessel attempted to initiate a plasma storm in Earth's upper atmosphere. Now we see if this works, Dr. Okoro muttered, activating the system. The effect was instantaneous. The Deadlock network captured the forming plasma storm and channeled it through the satellite grid. The probe was vaporized by its own weapon, transformed into a concentrated beam of energy that lit up space like an artificial sun. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. Send word to all Alliance worlds. Operation Deadlock is online. The main Nexarian fleet arrived precisely when Dr. Patel predicted. 5,000 ships, led by 3 massive harvest vessels the size of small moons. They moved into position around Earth with mechanical precision, preparing to unleash their plasma weapons. They're so predictable, Torres observed from her flagship, so certain of their superiority that they don't even consider we might have surprises waiting. The Nexarians struck first, launching plasma converters toward Earth's atmosphere from multiple vectors. For a moment, it seemed as though the sky itself was on fire. Then the Deadlock network engaged. The plasma storms were caught in the electromagnetic fields, channeled through the Tyre-Kelly crystals, and amplified by the G energy matrices. What should have been Earth's destruction instead became its greatest defense. Beams of concentrated plasma, hot enough to rival solar flares, lashed out at the Nexarian fleet. Their advanced shields, designed to protect against conventional weapons, proved useless against their own energy turned against them. Multiple Nexarian vessels showing critical damage. The AI reported, its hybrid human-Quan consciousness coordinating the defense grid with perfect efficiency. Their fleet formation is breaking down. But the Nexarians weren't finished. Their harvest ships began a transformation, mechanical segments shifting to reveal weapons unlike anything the Alliance had encountered. Energy beams capable of cutting through planets lanced toward Earth. Deadlock grid holding, Dr. Okoro reported, his hands flying over control interfaces. But the power drain is enormous. We can't maintain this level of defense indefinitely. Admiral Chen opened a channel to all Alliance ships. This is what we planned for. Begin Phase 2. As the Deadlock network kept the Nexarians focused on their frontal assault, Alliance ships emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. Human submarines' tactics combined with Marin stealth technology had allowed them to conceal an entire counter-offensive fleet. The battle that followed would be studied for generations to come. The Nexarians, caught between their own weaponry turned against them and attacks from multiple vectors, began to show something they'd never displayed before: confusion. But victory came at a heavy cost. The deadlock network was straining, power conduits burning out across the grid. And through the chaos of battle, Dr. Paddle detected something that made her blood run cold. "We have incoming quantum signatures," she announced. "Massive ones. This isn't their main fleet, it's just the vanguard." The true test of humanity and the Alliance was about to begin. As the second wave of Nexarian ships emerged from hyperspace, Dr. Maya Patel noticed something odd in her quantum readings. The massive energy signatures were fluctuating in a familiar pattern, one she'd seen before in her early days at Sierra 9 Station. "Admiral," she called out, her voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. "The Nexarian ships, they're using quantum entanglement for their fleet coordination. But the pattern, it's identical to natural pulsar emissions." Dr. Okoro quickly grasped the implications. They're not just similar, they're exactly the same. The Nexarians aren't creating these quantum signals. They're hijacking natural pulsar frequencies. This revelation sparked a memory in High Commander Lyra. Throughout our history, the Nexarians have always attacked in regions with high concentrations of pulsars. We thought it was random. "Nothing they do is random," Admiral Chen interrupted, her tactical mind racing. "Dr. Patel, could we disrupt their communication by interfering with these pulsar frequencies?" "Better," Maya replied, her fingers flying over her console. "We could potentially overload their entire command and control system. But we'd need an enormous amount of power, more than even the deadlock network can generate." Commander Torres, her hologram flickering in from the battlefield, joined the discussion. "What about the solar arrays the Tyre Kelly installed around Mercury? If we combine those with the Moran geothermal taps, it still wouldn't be enough." Vorthak interjected, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. "The energy requirements would be astronomical." That's when Dr. Okoro had his moment of insight. What if we don't need to generate the energy ourselves? The Nexarians are already tapped into the pulsar network. We just need to change the frequency, create a feedback loop. The plan that emerged was both brilliant and desperate. By modifying the deadlock network to emit precisely calibrated quantum signals, they could theoretically turn the Nexarians' own communication system into a weapon against them. But the risks were enormous. "If we miscalculate," Maya warned, "we could fry every quantum-based system in the solar system, including our own defense grid." Admiral Chen looked at the tactical display, watching as more Nexarian ships poured into the system. The deadlock network was holding, but barely. They were running out of options. "How long to implement?" 3 hours to modify the network," Dr. Okoro replied. "But we'll need to get much closer to their command ships to initiate the feedback loop." "I'll do it," Torres volunteered. "The Resilient has the strongest quantum shielding in the fleet." The next 3 hours were a desperate race against time, while the Alliance fleet engaged in a fighting retreat, drawing the Nexarians into position. The science teams worked frantically to modify the deadlock network. Dr. Patel and Dr. Okoro, along with experts from every Alliance species, pushed the boundaries of their combined technological understanding. The Quan provided the mathematical models needed to predict the feedback cascade. The Xi contributed their unique understanding of energy manipulation. The Marin's knowledge of wave propagation proved invaluable. The Tyre Kelly's crystal technology would serve as the focal points for the quantum pulse. But it was human intuition and willingness to take risks that brought it all together. "Ready for quantum pulse initiation," Maya announced. "Commander Torres, are you in position?" The Resilient had fought its way through the Nexarian line, taking heavy damage but achieving its objective. "In position. Though I don't think they're happy to see us." The massive Nexarian command ship loomed before them, its crystalline structure bristling with weapons. Energy beams lashed out, barely deflected by the Resilient's failing shields. Initiating quantum pulse in 3, 2, 1. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The modified deadlock network fired, sending precisely calibrated quantum signals through the pulsar network. The Nexarian command chip structure began to resonate, its crystalline form vibrating at frequencies it was never designed to handle. "It's working," Maya exclaimed. "The feedback loop is cascading through their entire command and control network." Across the battlefield, Nexarian ships began to falter. Their perfect coordination collapsed as the quantum communications network that bound them together became their greatest vulnerability. Ships collided, weapons fired at random, and their once impenetrable formations dissolved into chaos. But the victory was not without cost. The Resilient's quantum shielding was failing, unable to protect against the very feedback loop they had initiated. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 7, Torres reported calmly. "We're losing power to engines, but the pulse is stable." Repeat, "The pulse is stable." Admiral Chen watched as the mighty Nexarian fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy for so long, began to break apart. Ships either shut down completely or fled blindly into space, their command and control systems shattered. The Alliance had won this battle, but Maya's quantum sensors were already detecting something else, something massive gathering at the edge of known space. "Admiral," she said, her voice grave, "I'm detecting quantum signatures from thousands of Nexarian ships. They're gathering for something big." "How many?" "All of them. Every Nexarian ship in the galaxy is converging. Whatever's coming, it's going to be their endgame." High Commander Lyra stepped forward. "Then we make our stand together. The Alliance has proven what it can accomplish. Now we prepare for the final battle." As repair crews worked to rescue the Resilient and its crew, and the Alliance began fortifying Earth's defenses, Admiral Chen called a meeting of all Alliance commanders. The Nexarians had shown their weakness, but exploiting it again wouldn't be so easy. They would adapt, evolve, and return with new tactics. The war's final chapter was about to begin, and humanity would need every ounce of its ingenuity and determination to survive what was coming. The Nexarian armada arrived as a single massive force, emerging from hyperspace like a dark tide sweeping across the stars. Their ships had changed, adapted to resist the quantum feedback weapon that had proved so devastating in the previous battle. But they weren't the only ones who had prepared. In the 3 weeks since the Battle of Earth, the Alliance had transformed the solar system into a fortress. Under humanity's guidance, they had abandoned conventional military doctrine in favor of something the Nexarians had never encountered: organized chaos. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the new Alliance flagship, Genesis, a vessel that represented the perfect fusion of all member species technologies. "Status report," she commanded. "Nexarian fleet holding position just beyond Mars orbit." Maya reported from her station. "They've modified their quantum signatures. Our previous strategy won't work." "They're not the only ones who can adapt," Dr. Okoro replied. He had spent the past weeks working with Forthak and the other Tyre Kelly engineers to develop what they called quantum chaos theory, a way to use unpredictable energy patterns as both weapon and shield. The Nexarian fleet moved with precision, but something was different. Their formations were looser, less rigid. They had learned from their defeat. A transmission cut through all frequencies. The Nexarian Overlord appeared on screens across the Alliance fleet, a towering crystalline entity that pulsed with dark energy. "Your resistance has proved instructive," it stated, its voice resonating at frequencies that made sensor arrays crackle. "But it ends now. You have forced us to embrace chaos. Now witness true adaptation." The Nexarian ships began to change, their crystalline structures flowing like liquid metal. They were becoming something new, something that could match humanity's unpredictability. But Admiral Chen smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for. "All ships, execute Operation Phoenix." Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. The Marins had used their knowledge of fluid dynamics to create artificial gravity wells. The Quan's mathematical models had predicted exactly how the Nexarians would adapt. The G's energy manipulation technology had been modified to create false quantum signatures, and humanity had brought it all together with one simple insight. The more complex a system becomes, the more vulnerable it is to cascade failure. The battle erupted across space. Nexarian ships, their new fluid forms allowing them to adapt rapidly, found themselves caught in an ever-changing battlefield. Every time they adapted to one threat, 3 more appeared. Commander Torres, her ship now leading the primary attack group, implemented the strategies they had developed. All ships initiate random jump patterns, just like we practiced. Alliance vessels began jumping in and out of hyperspace in seemingly random patterns, their movements choreographed by human intuition and quantum mathematics. Each jump created ripples in space-time that the Nexarians' adaptive abilities couldn't predict. Dr. Patel's quantum sensors detected the growing confusion in the enemy fleet. Their adaptation algorithms are struggling to keep up. They're trying to match too many patterns at once. That was when Dr. Okoro initiated the final phase. The quantum chaos generators activated, sending waves of unpredictable energy through space. The Nexarians, in their attempt to become more adaptable, had made themselves vulnerable to the very chaos they sought to embrace. Their ships are losing cohesion, Maya reported. The quantum fluctuations are preventing them from maintaining stable forms. But the Nexarian overlord had one final card to play. Its flagship, a vessel the size of a small moon, began to pull in energy from its entire fleet. The combined power of thousands of ships channeled into a single point. They're going to try to initiate a quantum collapse, Lyra warned. They'll destroy everything in the system, including themselves. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. All ships, converge on my position. Initiative Protocol Horizon. Protocol Horizon was humanity's ultimate gambit. Based on Dr. Okoro's theories about quantum entanglement, enhanced by G energy manipulation, and powered by the combined technology of all Alliance species, it was designed to do the impossible, create a controlled quantum singularity. As the Nexarian weapon built to critical levels, the Alliance fleet moved into formation around the Genesis. Every ship linked their power systems, creating a network of energy that spanned the space between worlds. The Nexarians aren't the only ones who can adapt, Chen transmitted to the Overlord. The difference is, we don't do it alone. The quantum singularity formed between the two fleets, not as a weapon, but as a shield. The Nexarian energy weapon fired, its power great enough to shatter planets. But when it hit the singularity, something remarkable happened. The energy was caught, contained, and redirected. Not back at the Nexarians, but into a controlled cascade that rippled through space-time itself. Their own weapon became the key to their defeat, as the quantum frequencies they had mastered for so long finally turned against them. One by one, the Nexarian ships began to break apart, their adaptive forms unable to maintain cohesion in the quantum storm they had helped create. The Overlord's transmission cut off mid-sentence, its mighty flagship dissolving into streams of energy that dissipated harmlessly into space. In the silence that followed, humanity and their allies witnessed the end of a threat that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. But more importantly, they had proved something that would forever change the course of galactic history. I never understood before, Lyra said softly, standing beside Chen as they watched the last traces of the Nexarian fleet fade away. Why your species survived so many near extinctions on your own world. Now I do. Oh, Chen asked. And what's that? Humans don't just adapt. You help others adapt with you. You don't seek to dominate chaos. You embrace it, understand it, and teach others to do the same. That's not just survival. That's evolution. As the Alliance fleet regrouped and rescue operations began, Dr. Patel detected something new in her quantum scans. The energy released by the Nexarians' defeat had changed the fabric of space-time in subtle but significant ways. New possibilities, new frontiers had opened up. Humanity had not just helped save the galaxy, they had helped it take its next step into the future. And this time, they would take that step together, as equals in an alliance that was stronger than ever before. The war was over. The real adventure was just beginning.